Hello and welcome to a new video in the Excel function series. This time we will talk about the scan function. So, the scan function needs an optional initial value. You can also leave this out as indicated with the edgy brackets, an array, and then a lambda function. And the lambda function has a so-called accumulator, a value, and then a body where you work with both the accumulator and the value. But you need to know you need always two lambda input values. So initial value and an array that you give these function. So you can't write a scan function with only one. If you also leave the initial value out, you also need to put there the semicolon or the comma as you delimiter, and then the array and then the lambda function. You can't do something like this. So, and let's see how the scan function is used. So, most of the time, the scan function is used for running totals. So, for example, here we have values, doesn't matter what those values are, for months. And now we write our scan function. Our initial value we leave out, but we can also put there a 0 in. Our array is here at the left. And then our lambda, we have an accumulator, a value, and a body, and we want to add the accumulator to the value. And what the scan function does now, we can show here. The 224 is equal to 163 plus 61. So here, this plus this. I will indicate this with colors. So here 161 and 163 and 61. And this is every time for every row the accumulator, so the value from before, is added to the value of this row. You could also do this in a non-dynamic way. So add this and then this here and drag everything down. Will work also, but this way isn't dynamic. And you see here this blue line around this isn't dynamic array, and therefore the scan function is much more useful because you have there dynamic arrays. So then a little bit more complicated, we want to have the highest row number in a running total or running maximum manner. And you see here these are a lot of numbers. And therefore we use first the text split function to split everything into a single cell. And then we use the scan function. Our initial value is nothing. Our array is given by those references. Then we want to have a lambda, accumulator, and value. And now we use the maximum. We want to have the maximum of A, our accumulator. And to determine the row number, you need row and indirect of the value, close all the brackets. Close all the brackets, and you get there a running maximum depth. So here you see 16, 20, 22, 27, and it doesn't get deeper, but we can try this out. For example, here, somewhere we put 170 in, and you see here in a dynamic fashion, here we're switching from 27 to 117. So, and this is the cool way is this is adjustable. So if you put there, for example, this text split function directly into the scan function, you can do this. You can wrap functions as you wish. And you now want to use this function for another task. For example, for this task here, where you where you have obviously not the same amount of values. You see, only with a single click and a single cell you need to change, you have the same result there, or the same thing there, also with a dynamic array as an output. And you not only need to accumulate with values, for example. You can also use the accumulator for other things. For example, I want to have here the cell reference, so a dynamic array based on the reference and an arrow movement. This is a thing common in Excel eSport cases. And I have a lambda for reference based on a reference and arrow array. But here, for example, this will lead to y23, so what 3 arrows to the left, to the right, and 3 arrows up. And what I could now do is drag this formula here, adjust this to this reference, and copy the formula back, and it will lead to a result. But I want to have this in a dynamic fashion, and therefore I can use the scan function. My initial value is here, this cell here. My array is my error array. Now lambda accumulate a value, and I now use my pre-programmed lambda for reference. My cell reference is my accumulator, and my error array is my value. And you see here, I have this in a dynamic array, because every time my lambda use this cell reference, so the reference from before, my accumulator, and the error array, my value, to determine the cell reference, and it's done in a dynamic way with a dynamic array. So I hope you have learned how to use the scan function. As I've told you, the most of the time it's used for the running totals, but if you want to do such things as below here, and you want to do this in a modeling, dynamic, beautiful way, and not with dragging the formulas and so on, you could use the scan function. And if you know then how to use dynamic arrays, it will bring your values, your spreadsheets, and your Excel knowledge to a new level. Thank you for your attention. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.